This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is Monday, March 24th. 2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what is going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. Another week of Orlando Magic basketball come and gone. There's not that many left. As we sit here, we're like, 3 weeks away? Today is the end of the regular season. Sunday, as we're recording this, April 13th. So that's kind of hard to believe. But yeah, it'll be here before you know it, end of the regular season, and then on to who knows what the postseason will look like for this team. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
We got 11 games left. You and I only have 2 nights where we will have to record pods after games.
Yeah.
One of those is Boston. That'll be fun, I'm sure. And then the other is the last day of the season. And yeah, that game's at 1, so it's not like we're going to be recording super late, but at that point we'll kind of know what's going on in terms of the play-in. If we're going to see Atlanta again, are we going to see Miami? Are we going to see Chicago?
Right. Or the 6th seed, either one.
Kevin, stop. I made it a point earlier when I was going through and doing like the state of the Magic. I always go through and do the standings. Yeah. I just completely removed Detroit. I was just like, we're not even mentioning this. Just the way that we stopped mentioning Cleveland and Boston and New York a few weeks ago. I'm not mentioning Detroit.
Look,
you want to if you want to look it up for yourselves, by all means, go ahead.
If we go 11-0 the rest of the way, Detroit just has to go 4-6. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, stop it. Please stop it. You and I were talking before we started recording, and like the very optimistic part of me died in that third week of January. I think the second, third week, losing at Milwaukee, getting blown out in Boston, losing to Denver, getting blown out by Toronto, getting blown out to Portland. Then you beat Detroit and you're like, oh, we got Jalen back, we're fine. And then Jalen's out and he's been out for the rest of the season. So yeah,
that was bad.
Part of me died that day. Double overtime loss to Miami. Then you get blown out by Portland. You get blown out by Utah. That did me in.
Those were dark days.
Those were dark days. Hey, we did record, or no, wait, we haven't recorded since the Severance finale.
No, we have not.
Man, I just can't, at this point, I didn't love the way that it ended, but I also do understand that if it didn't end it like that, the story's probably over. And I do want more Severance. So I'm upset at any mark. I understand it, but I just
we don't want to spoil it for some people, it's still the weekend. Maybe some people were traveling or something. So I'm not going to say much more. Sure. I enjoyed how it ended. I loved it.
I know you did. I know. But I'm just looking forward to, season 3. There's going to be a season 3 shocker, one of the most critically acclaimed and successful television shows of the last 5 years is not ending after 2 seasons. I don't think that's a big spoiler, but yeah. Spoiler alert, I guess it probably is not a spoiler. We've talked about this, but our Court of Dreams experience, kind of like Court of Dreams, 2-day event, really. Sunday, March 30th, the day before the Magic play the Clippers at 12 o'clock. We're going to be playing pickup basketball on the Kia Center floor with some Magic fans. And then the next night, we're going to the Clippers game as a group to just kind of hang out and cheer on and enjoy this Magic team. So to buy tickets to this, so if you're one of the first 60 to purchase tickets to this event, you get access to both the Court of Dreams pickup experience on Sunday, March 30th at 12, and then March 31st, 7 o'clock when the Magic take on the Clippers. There are still tickets left for that, but there is a purchase deadline. You have to purchase those tickets by Friday, March 28th at 7 o'clock Eastern PM. If you want to buy tickets to this, get them while they're still available. Head on over to gofevo.com/event/sixthman2 So that's gofivo.com/event/sixthman2. We'll put the links in the podcast and YouTube descriptions, and you can find those there. I'm looking forward to that. I've been working through like a little weird foot injury that I've got going on. So, I'm still trying to 30, 31, almost 32 years old, man. Everything that people tell you about getting older, believe it, because it's all true, and it just happens out of nowhere, and you have no reason for why things hurt or what. But that's what happens, and I know it gets worse as we get older. So, but I'm really looking forward to those events, Kev.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I agree, though. As someone who is about a year ahead of you, it doesn't get much easier. Things get worse, but oh well. This is how life goes, I guess.
I'm working on. I think maybe I read the smorgasbord of what I did to myself a couple weeks ago here in terms of eating. I woke up last Sunday and I had like a realization, like, hey, the weight. First of all, I put on a couple of pounds, as I do every NBA season. I work all off season to get back into somewhat decent shape, not great shape, but less fat shape, right? And then as our NBA Magic schedules kind of take over in terms of like watching games, doing the pod, watch parties, also like fatherly, husbandly duties, all of that kind of stuff, like it just makes it hard to find time to exercise, and more convenient food just becomes so much easier, like in terms of fast food, or like, oh, let me just throw something in the air fryer or whatever. But I woke up last Sunday feeling like I was going to throw up everywhere. Like back to my younger days when I'd be out partying and all that kind of stuff, I felt hungover, but from eating like crap for 5 days. So I think I ran you through this, Kev, but I'm going to let our listeners know the week that I was at the Players, we went out to Orlando on Wednesday. But the night before, I had Taco Bell, had their little crunch wrap steak slider things that they've made. And then I had Jam Hot Chicken. And as much as I love Jam Hot Chicken, it sits a little bit heavy sometimes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's fried chicken. Let's be honest.
And especially when you eat as much of it as I tend to do when I'm there, because it is so good. And then Thursday at the Players, I had a pork sandwich, a massive salted pretzel, a ton of beef jerky. I had ice cream. I had lemonade. I had a couple of beers while I was there. And then Friday night, the night of our watch party, I had a delicious, huge burger from Stadium Club with their truffle fries. And then Saturday, we had 2 separate family events. So I went hamburgers, hot dogs. I had a cupcake at the event. Then I had pasta salad, went to another event, had caviar, tacos, charcuterie. And then when we got home that night, I had a midnight cupcake.
Sheesh.
So I woke up that Sunday and I was like, we have absolutely 100%. We have to make a change, because you're too old to be doing this. I can't do that to my body anymore. So in focusing on that, I'm hoping that like next year around this time, I won't be complaining of just like random ailments that pop up, because my goal moving forward like is to stay at least in better shape than I am now throughout the NBA seasons while we're doing this.
Well, best of luck to you, because that's a tall order with all the stuff and the shenanigans that go on. But yeah,
and I just love food, obviously. But
yeah, food is good. I enjoy it a lot.
All right, let's talk some Magic basketball, shall we? Let's get into the weekly state of the Magic. This week, the Magic went 1-1, only 2 games this week. Lost to the Houston Rockets, a win over the Wizards. Now sitting at 33-38 at the time of this recording. The Magic are 8th in the Eastern Conference, a game and a half back of Atlanta, 2 games up on Chicago, 3.5 games up on Miami. Magic are 28th in offensive rating on the year with an offensive rating of 108.1. Second in defensive rating with a defensive rating of 109.4. And 18th in overall net rating, negative net rating of 1.6. And since the All-Star break, let's pull that up. Thought I had that up here.
Well, while you're pulling that up, I'll just say, since we've started, the Hawks game went final and they've won. So we're now 2 games back of the Hawks instead of a game and a half. The Hawks, they've caught fire. The Bulls have caught fire. The Miami Heat have even won. So all the teams around Magic, including the Pistons in 6th, keep winning. So yeah, everybody's winning right now, which is not good for the Magic. in the standings. Yeah, they're 2 games back of the Hawks and 6.5 back of the Pistons.
Yeah.
So anyway,
some post All-Star break numbers here. 22nd in offensive rating with an offensive rating of 111.2. We are 13th in defensive rating with a defensive rating of 112.2. And we are 17th in net rating with a negative net rating of 1. So, yeah, the Magic have been finding ways for games to be closer, but still not really playing up to their standards, obviously. Taking a look at the Magic injury report right now, it's Jalen, obviously it's Mo Wagner, and Cole Anthony, still missed the last couple of games with the strained big toe, and he's day-to-day right now. So we'll have to see what's going to happen on Monday against the Los Angeles Lakers again, when the Magic will be inducting Dwight Howard into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame. So very much looking forward to that.
And LeBron looks like he's going to be back for that game, by the way. They announced, the Lakers announced today on Sunday that he's probable for that game. So you got the return of LeBron, you got Luka, you got Austin Reeves, and then you got this whole Dwight Howard Hall of Fame thing. So that'll be a very interesting night on Monday for sure.
Yeah. Well, Kev, why don't we take it back to Friday night where the Magic took on the Washington Wizards? To me, the first half of this game was very much in line with the way that we've performed against the sort of the worst teams recently, right? Like if I go back like February 12th against Charlotte, right? You don't get off to a super hot start in that game, but you end up winning that game by 16. We go to February 23rd against Washington, again, didn't get off to a super hot start, but you win that game by 20. Go back to the New Orleans game. Don't get off to Paolo and Franz got off to a hot start in that game, but the rest of the team necessarily didn't. But you still win that game by 20 and going away. And this game was really much of the same. I believe it was, you had a 3-point lead after one. You were up 13 at the half, but then you outscore Washington by 18 in the third quarter. But then you get outscored by 16 in the fourth quarter. But that was mostly when we kind of checked in the garbage time, that third unit. But yeah, big third quarter, Kev, on your way to a 120-105 win.
Yeah, it's Magic led by as many as 33 in this game, by the way. And obviously we can talk more specifics about this team and some of the players and some of the rotation minutes and all that kind of stuff. But after this game, Jonathan, I was thinking to myself, there's been a lot of talk around the Magic universe this year about third quarters. And obviously, like you said, the Magic win this one 35-17. And I was like, is there any truth to this? Like, we all think, the Magic, they stink in third quarters. And I was like, is there any truth to that? And so I did a little bit of sleuthing. I did a little bit of research, as they might say. And I was like, how have the Magic done in third quarters this year? And how have the third quarters impacted the results of the games? Okay. So the Magic, this is wild, okay? The Magic have won the third quarter 32 times this season, okay? They have lost the third quarter 35 times this season, all right? So you say that's pretty even, and they've tied 4 times, okay, in the third quarter. So pretty balanced. So I wouldn't say they necessarily lose a ton of third quarters, right? It's pretty much split 50-50, just about. However, the record based on the third quarter is wild. So in games when the Magic win the third quarter, they are 22-10 in games that they win the third quarter. In games that they tie the fourth quarter, they are 4-0. Combine those two. If the Magic win or tie the third quarter, they have gone 26-10 this season. On the flip side of that, if they lose the third quarter, they are 7-28 in those games. So needless to say, the third quarter has become like the do or die quarter for this team. And again, it's interesting. It's not like they lose every third quarter. Sometimes it feels like that, but it's pretty even down the middle this season. However, win the third quarter, you're in good shape. Lose the fourth quarter, and you're doomed. 7-28 in games when you lose the third quarter. I thought that was wild.
So basically what you're telling me is if the Magic lose the third quarter. If the Magic are down at half and they lose the third quarter, you can essentially turn the TV off.
That's right.
Yeah.
Turn this TV off. Turn this TV off. Yep.
That's brutal, man.
Yeah. Wow.
But I think that's really your research was mostly like confirming what we already knew. Like,
to a point. At some level, part of me was like, it felt like we've just lost third quarters all year.
Sure.
So that confirmed that wasn't true. But it does confirm that if we do lose a third quarter, like it's never a recipe for success. Like it's not good, which is interesting. I'd be curious like how that trends across the league. I'm not going to take the time to look that up, but 7-28 in games that you lose the third quarter, and 26-10 if you win or tie the third quarter. Crazy.
Steve Clifford used to talk a lot, about like getting off the hot starts and closing games out, and he would always say like the league changes from year to year in terms of like some years it's a first quarter league, some years it's a fourth quarter league. Some years if you win the first quarter, you're winning more games. Sometimes if you win the fourth quarter, you're winning more games. Maybe some years if you win the third quarter, like it changes from year to year. But it does feel like the majority of either the Magic losing big leads or letting games get away from them, more often than not this season has come in that third quarter. As a matter of fact, what we can actually do is we can take a look at the Magic's net rating by quarter. That might be a fun exercise. So in the third quarter, the Magic are actually 16th in the league with a negative net rating of 0.7. So right in the middle of the league in terms of third quarter performance overall. If we go to the first quarter, the Magic are... Which, by the way, that would align with 20th. The fact that they're pretty much in the middle as far as their record goes,
Right. They've won 32 quarters and they've lost 35 quarters and tied 4 quarters, which is, right in the middle.
So first quarter, negative 3.7 net rating. Where did this just go? Why can't the NBA.com just make a better filter tool on their website?
They have great stats these days, but the tool isn't great.
The tool is absolutely not great.
The interface isn't great, yeah.
Second quarter, 24th. Negative 4.8 net rating. And the fourth quarter, I'm assuming the fourth quarter is going to be our best when we really shine. And
it was really good in the first 40 games of the season.
We're 5th in the league in fourth quarter net rating with a positive net rating of 4.3. It's not even close.
Yeah.
If the Magic enter the fourth with a lead, or if it's a close game, you have a reasonable expectation that they're going to win the game. And I do still credit a lot of that to Jamal Mosley. If they're behind, they're going to play really well to try to get back in the game. But
I mean, don't forget, like I said, like the first 20 games of the year, this team was on top by a wide margin. They were number one in net rating in the fourth quarter.
And then everything. There was a while like if you were trailing heading into the fourth against the Magic, it was a guaranteed L.
Kia Center, it was GG's.
That feels like 2 seasons ago, man.
It sure does. Crazy. All right, Jonathan, it's time once again for the Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week. Hard to believe we only got a few more of these left this season before the season winds down, but it's true. And this week, the Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week comes courtesy of Wendell Carter Jr. Friday night, they're in D.C., the nation's capital. First, this play starts off with Paolo Banchero making a pass from his butt. So give him credit. I don't mean like pulling something out of his butt. I mean, he was sitting on the ground, made this pass to Wendell, who got it off to Caleb Houston. Wendell then slips and goes to the rim, met by Caleb Houston's great pass, and then Wendell Carter throws it down with the right hand with authority. We don't see Wendell with the powerful throwdowns too much these days, and so to see him do that Friday was very nice, and that's why it is this week's Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week. And big shout out to Jam Hot Chicken for being a sponsor of the show. You can find them at 400 West New England Avenue. They're in beautiful Winter Park, where they make some of the best chicken in Central Florida. Hot or not, I always say on this show, look, some people, they can't deal with spicy food. Me these days, since I've had my surgery, I can't have as much spicy food as I used to because, some of the stuff, the medicines I got to take and all this. So I just get plain, and let me tell you, it is just as good. So shout out to Jam Hot Chicken. Whether you like it jam hot, or plain, it's all good. Whether it's the Sando or the box or anything in between, we're big fans of Jam Hot Chicken because they are big fans of the Orlando Magic and of this amazing fan community. And if you would like to check them out, again, you can go visit them at 400 West New England Avenue there in Winter Park, or check them out on social media. Their social media page, especially on Instagram, it's vibing. It's a great spot. Definitely follow them there. And of course, you'll get all kinds of updates on Jam Hot Chicken. Again, big shout out to Jam Hot Chicken for sponsoring the show. When you go visit them, just let them know that the Six Man Show sent you.
Kev, I was at Jam a couple weeks ago with a friend of mine who, like yourself, doesn't get like any of the spicy options. Just got plain, and he legitimately said, this might be the best chicken tender I've had in my entire life.
So good.
Whether you get the spicy, plain, whatever, it's all fantastic. But This episode is also brought to you by 50 On Your Head, Fuchsia, Bobby Skinner, Nala, and El Mexico. These are some of our Hall of Fame and Elite Tier patrons. We thank you all so much. We literally couldn't do the show without you. It means the world that you continue to support us month after month, year after year, season after season, regardless of whether the Magic are doing well or not. Again, we just are so thankful for your support. And if you like what we're doing here and just want to help out and help support us financially, you can head on over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show and select from whatever option or tier works best for you. Kev and I, the dream is to be able to do this full time someday. And the best way to help us get to that point, where if we do get to that point, it's more Magic content, better Magic content. We can be closer to the team, cover games more, do all that kind of stuff. It is a dream, obviously, but we appreciate everybody that helps support us in the goal to get there eventually. And, the stuff that we're doing now, we couldn't do without the support of our patrons. So just really appreciate everybody. Anytime we have a brand new patron, we give them a special shout out on the show. And each week, we randomly pick a handful of our Elite and Hall of Fame tier patrons to give them a special thank you as well. So again, if you want to join in, help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show. But now let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
But for the rest of this game, though, like we said, that was the quarter where they blew the game open, and you got to give them credit for doing that, right? It's a 4-quarter basketball game. They took care of business. The quote unquote real Magic players. That's not very kind, but you know what I mean, right? Like the first and second stringers took care of business. They got a 33-point lead. Again, the final score was pretty flattering to the Wizards, but the fourth quarter, almost all third stringers for the Magic, and yeah, they let the Wizards get within, I think 15, whatever it was. But yeah, interesting though. We just talked about Jonathan Isaac, and he was included in that group.
Oh, man,
how about that? That's interesting.
I don't get it, man.
Yeah. For those that didn't watch, Jonathan Isaac did not play until garbage time.
Until the Magic were up 30.
He got garbage time minutes against the worst team in basketball. That's when he played.
Like, I get it because like we just don't really have the bodies, but that's just not something that you do for a guy who's in his like 7th or 8th year in the league. You're paying it. I don't know. It's optically, it's a bad kind of awkward look right now. I'm not pointing the blame at anybody specifically. J.I. obviously could play better, but I talked about this on the post game live after this game. It's a very like confusing and like just a weird situation with J.I. And I know we talked about this on the last episode, but it just doesn't make sense for him to be as good as he was defensively last year and now like looks like a complete shell of himself this year without another significant injury happening. It's befuddling. And I don't know that after just like one kind of down year where he's been relatively healthy, but just hasn't looked like the same player, that I'm ready to just be like, oh, he's not the same guy anymore. It's over. Because one, the team has just been really bad, and everybody outside of Paolo and Franz to a certain extent has looked bad in that context this year. And that's kind of what happens with role players. If the team isn't a good team, the role players don't look good. If the team is really good, the role players look great. Like shout out to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Played on the Nuggets, looked awesome. Plays on our team, doesn't look very good right now. But yeah, that continues to be a very strange situation with J.I. But hey, Paolo and Franz and Wendell were all awesome. You got good minutes out of Anthony Black. You got good minutes out of KCP and Corey Joseph. good minutes out of Tristan da Silva, and that was really enough to win this game like very comfortably. Like I was, even when the lead got down to like 16-15 in that fourth, there was no part of me that was worried. I was like, well, this isn't great, but the game was still very much over at that point. And Paolo just like continues to be on a massive tear. I think the last 10 games he's averaging like right at 30. Over the last 15, he's just below that. And I've got some Paolo stuff that I want to talk about, but this was just a fun Paolo game. Like there's and it's the Wizards, but there was absolutely nothing the Wizards could do with Paolo when he wanted to get to the rim, the mid range, knocking down threes, getting to the free throw line. Like just a really, really good Paolo game.
Yeah, it's also just wild. His like the moves that he has, like the dribble moves, the step backs, the hezzies. Like I mean. Like if you're watching on TV, sometimes it's hard to remember, or maybe I should say easy to forget. Like the dude is 6'10", 250, and he's out there doing that. Like I can't remember who it might have been. Bub Carrington. He sent a dude flying with a crossover. He missed the shot, which is tragic because that would have been. I would have made that the jam of the week. I would have done something. I would have gotten creative and called it something. But like. He sent him flying, missed the shot, unfortunately. But like that is a 6'10", 250 dude crossing up a guard. Like it was nothing. It's wild. So to see him do that is really fun. You mentioned KCP. You got to give him a shout out. Had a good game. Franz, not great, but better than the last week, right? 21, 9 of 18 from the field. Only one turnover. That's the big thing for me. Really, really poor week for turnovers for Franz. Those last couple of games before this one, for him to only have one. Again, I know it's the Wizards, but you got to give him credit there for bouncing back. Like you said, great win. AB was good. Yeah, obviously you have to win this one. It's the Wizards. But to get a 33-point lead makes it feel a little better too, right? Like it's not like we squeaked one out. Like this team took care of business, got the blowout win, and was able to get yet again another extra day of rest between that game and Monday's game against the Lakers.
I want to take a quick look. I want to pull up like the last 10 games for one Wendell Carter Jr. because it feels like he's just like, this is, what was this? Like a 16-12 game, 11 points, I believe it was in the first quarter, the high for him in a quarter this year. Just feels like he's been playing some really solid basketball lately. So maybe all right. The last 10 games aren't super kind to him. 9.6 points, 42% from the floor, 7.4 rebounds. Just kind of short of a double double. What if we go last 5 games? Maybe the window that I have here is just a bit too big here. So okay. Wendell he's thrown in some good games there.
There
hasn't
we go.
been maybe super consistent, but has been throwing some good games around as of late. So shout out for Wendell for doing that, because to his credit, some guys are just not having good games at all. Like they're just like, nah, I'm not going to play well for like 3 weeks and then maybe I'll have a good game. So Wendell playing well every other game.
We've got some guys who haven't played well for 5 months.
Yeah. Shout out to Gary Harris. Good grief. Let's do something fun. Really, it's not fun. It's honestly really depressing. But just to think about the fact that let's see. Okay, before I get to the punchline of the joke.
Oh no!
Let's find the total.
Is it a Gary joke?
Gary Harris has hit 25 threes on the year, and 6 of those came opening night.
That's wild.
Shout out to Gary, man.
How many games has he played? Do you have that in front of you?
I did have that. Let me go back. This new Mac, I don't know how to get to that. Usually it'd be a Control-Shift-J on a Windows computer to pull up the last.
Command-Shift-T will reopen your old tab.
37 games. He's made 25 threes.
Love that.
Yeah. And the fact that he's only played 37 games really just,
Yep. Shout out Gary Harris.
Hey, shout out Mac McClung. Mac McClung got some minutes for the first time since game 2 or game 3 of the year.
Yeah, game 3
in this one. Yeah. So, happy to see Mac on the floor. And like the point that you made a couple of minutes ago, it was just good to see the Magic just get a comfortable win against a team that they should beat the crap out of. And maybe it took until like midway through the second quarter for them to get going, but even though this team has struggled, they still know, like, the fact that they still have a switch that they can flip against bad teams. You know, this season, nobody's going to come away after the final game of the season feeling like super fired up about the way that this year went. But I think this is a good segue to just talk about Paolo and Franz and the season that they've had. And as frustrating as things have been at times, we still have not a lot of things. We have two very big things to continue to be really excited about. So, Kevin, as we were preparing and talking about this pod earlier in the day, he said, I think it might be time for us to have a little bit of a Paolo conversation, because we talked plenty about Paolo as he was struggling and coming back from injury. And at this point, I feel pretty confident in saying that Paolo is all the way back. And he's even said as much, that, he just feels a lot better physically and is more confident. So first of all, let's just talk about the year that Paolo is having. Right now, he's averaging 25.4 points, 7.2 rebounds, 4.8 assists. The 25.4 points, according to basketballreference.com, would rank Paolo 8th all-time for single-season points per game in Magic history. So, like, whatever your highest scoring season was for Paolo, this season would be the 8th highest scoring, like, points per game in Magic history. Now, there's kind of the question of, is he really going to qualify for that? I think the qualification for that is probably like 50 games. He missed 34. He's at 37 right now. Best case scenario, he's going to finish at 48. So I don't know if he's going to technically, quote unquote, qualify for that. But I think everybody who's watched this team for the majority of the season, Kevin, could agree that had not Paolo been injured, he's probably finishing even higher than 8th all time. So T-Max number 1 at 32.1 in 02-03. Then Shaq in 93-94 at 29.3. And in 94-95, actually 29.3. So Shaq has 2 and 3. T-Mac has 4 and 5. Shaq has 6. T-Mac has 7. Paolo, numbers-wise, would finish 8th. Right now, because Franz has played more games, he is technically qualifying and is listed as 8. So we're seeing Paolo and Franz right now have 2 of the top 10 like offensive, like statistically best offensive seasons in Magic history. And I've got some other stuff that we can talk about, but just that stat on its own, the fact that those guys together this year are both having 2 of the top 10 offensive seasons in Magic history statistically is something to be fired up about, I think.
Yeah, it's like we haven't had that. Like just that idea that we can have 2 23 plus, 24
Speaking
plus.
Of which, because I was going to wait, but you're right in the middle of I want to back up your point with the numbers.
Please.
This season will be the first time since 95-96 that the Magic have 2 players to average 20 or more. It was Shaq and Penny in 95-96. Shaq and Penny combined for 48.3 points per game that year. Paolo and Franz right now are on average to combine for 49.6.
Wow. So this would be the highest scoring duo in Magic history, or did they? In
Magic history,
did Shaq and Penny score more in 94-95, or no? Was that?
Well, it's definitely the highest since that mark. So what is that? 29 seasons.
Right.
No, they averaged just over 50.
That's what I wondered.
In 94-95 and 93-94. No, so yeah, they were just over 50 in the 94-95 season. So this would be the second highest scoring for a duo in Magic history. Right.
Still pretty good.
Pretty good.
And that's what I was leading with, which I was like, this is the first time we've had this since then. And to think that it's been 30 years since we've had this, and now we have it again, is crazy. And I think that's also why, which I know what I'm about to say is going to sound crazy considering the season we've had. I understand that. But that is still why I still believe that the future is as bright now as it has ever been in the history of this franchise. Like, you could argue the Shaq and Penny, like the future of that was bright, but then Shaq left, right? Barring that happening, I still think the future is brighter than what ended up happening with Shaq and Penny. I really do. Like, just with those 2 guys as the cornerstones, we'll figure out the rest, hopefully. Jeff Weltman figures out the rest. But with those guys as the cornerstones, I think we're in really good shape. Again, I know it's hard saying that. It's hard hearing that, considering how the season has gone. But this season has not gone this way because of our stars. Like, those guys are not to blame at all for this. Have they been perfect? No. Have they had their ups and downs? Yes. Were they injured? Yes. But they are not the reason this team is under 500. They are not the reason this team struggles in the ways that they do. If anything, it's the opposite. Like, if these guys, even though they both missed, 30 games or whatever it is, in many ways, if you don't have them, like this is a season, like, we thought the season was bad. Like, we're down there with the Washingtons and Charlottes, if it isn't for these guys. So, yeah, obviously very grateful for them. But like you said, Paolo, especially of late, has been on one. And I'm definitely excited to see how both of them continue to grow next season with a better roster and a healthier roster.
Well, to your point about how good Paolo has been, the last 15 games, he's averaging 29.5 points, which in that stretch is good for second in scoring in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And for the Excel boys out there saying, oh, he's such an inefficient shot chucker, blah, 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 blah. Mom, I need more toilet paper, whatever it is that they do. In that stretch, he's shooting 47% from the floor, 37% from behind the arc, and 80.4% at the free throw line, while adding 7.3 rebounds, 4.4 assists per game. We, right now, the last 15 games, are legitimately watching one of the best individual stretches of basketball in Magic history with Paolo Banchero. Yep. It's just point blank. Like, that, it is what it is. Like, if you can put it right up there, with Tracy McGrady. Obviously, Tracy McGrady had some incredible, like, total seasons, right? T-Mac's totally obviously up at the top of that list, but like, this is up there with, like, stretches that Shaq would have and stuff like that, just statistically speaking. So, yeah, like, this dude is one of the best three, offensive players in Magic history, essentially. And I do think that maybe that's a little bit hyperbole, but just kind of expanding upon what we're seeing now and what we saw at the beginning of the season, I think we have a reasonable level of expectation that he could have done this for the entire year had it not been for the injury. And the season just probably looks a lot different. Franz, if Paolo doesn't get hurt, maybe Franz doesn't get hurt, right? Like, maybe, like, just having Franz do so much more so quickly, so many more possessions while guarding the other team's best players on every single possession. Could that have been like an overuse type of injury? I don't really know. It's a non-contact kind of thing, so potentially it could be. Yeah, I'm just excited for Paolo and Franz to take another step up next year after having an entire healthy offseason. And I am right there with you in terms of the future never being brighter, but it's like, we have a very bright candle, but we know that there are 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming, and if you don't protect that candle, man, with this offseason, that candle could be blown out, well before we all hope.
That's a terrific analogy, Jonathan. You deserve a round of applause for that. What I was going to say was, I just always have to remind everyone, including myself, when we have these conversations, that Paolo Banchero is 22 years old. You just went through all those numbers. One of the best seasons in Magic history scoring the basketball, and he's 22. Like, that's the part. Again, when we talk about bright futures, like, it's crazy. The ceiling for this guy is outrageous, and we're not even close to it. 22 years old, we're not even close.
Yeah.
So yeah, very excited to see that, and obviously very excited to see it all in a Magic uniform.
And just to look back and think that, like, Tracy McGrady averaged 32 a game in 2002, 2003 with the spacing and the pace of the NBA at that time. It's just,
not to mention, not a good roster. Like, he had no help. Did it all.
It's really preposterous, man. Yeah. Just any time of the day you could throw on T-Mac highlights and I'll sit there hypnotized for hours on end.
Yep. Looking forward, by the way, to seeing Paolo named as Eastern Conference Player of the Month if he can keep it up for another 7 days. I think he's going to be right there.
The only thing that they could argue it would be the record for sure.
The record, of course.
But it feels like he's got the numbers to definitely be in contention.
Yeah. We got 7 more days to fix the record, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you got 7 days and you got 5 games over the course of the next 7 days. Perfect segue into the week ahead.
Yeah.
Monday, home versus the Lakers. Who cares about the game? Dwight is being inducted into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame. Super pumped up for that. And then I hope we get the win after. Then, right after that game, boys are headed to Charlotte, take on the Hornets on Tuesday. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. And then you come home. They'll probably come home Tuesday after the game. I would assume maybe they're off or they might practice on Wednesday. Then you got Dallas at home on Thursday. And then hang out Friday, and then you got a game Saturday at home versus the Sacramento Kings. And after that game, after Saturday, you only have 3 home games remaining on the season. Yep. So what is that? Yeah, 3 out of the last 7 of the Magic are at home. So 4 out of the last 7 on the road. Yeah,
but 4 of their next 5 are at home. So there's that.
Right now, sure. Yeah. I just mean like after that stretch, going forward there. So. Kev, I do feel like you have a real opportunity. Let's take a look at Atlanta's upcoming schedule here before I say what my heart is saying right now. But look at Atlanta's schedule. Yeah, you have a chance to be the 7 seed at the end of the week here. So we've got LA, Charlotte, Dallas, Sacramento, and Atlanta has Houston, Miami, Milwaukee this week. Atlanta could very well go 0-3 this week. If they go 0-3, we go 3-1. I believe even with that would put us at 7. I think we would have to do that. What if they go 1-2 and we go 2-2? We would be 1 game behind them at that point.
Yeah, we'd be a game.
So maybe it's not super likely. But there is a chance, if the Magic can go 3-1, if Atlanta goes 0-3, you find yourself in the 7th seed, or even finding yourself 1 game back of Atlanta heading into the following week. And we're not going to get into the week ahead of this week.
The week ahead of the week
you've got, you know what? Screw it. We will. You've got LA, San Antonio, Washington. San Antonio, Washington, those have to be must wins, in my opinion. And then you've got Atlanta. You've got Atlanta 2 out of the last 4 games. So Magic have to go at least 2-2 this week. In fact, that's actually what I'm picking them to do. I think you beat Charlotte, you beat Dallas. I think you drop the games to the Lakers and the Kings. But I do think you can win that game against Sacramento. I don't think that's like a scheduled loss or anything like that. In fact, let's take a look at Sacramento's schedule. What does that look like for them?
Here's the thing: they're 3-7 in their last 10. And I don't know. I saw an update earlier today about Sabonis. What did it say? Sabonis has made significant progress. He's missed the last 3 games, and he's questionable for Monday. So it looks like he's probably going to be back by Saturday. That's the guess. But yeah, they're 3-7 in their last 10. So yeah, not world beaters at all there. My prediction. Man. I don't want to lose that game Monday. Like I would almost if I had to pick 1 game from this week, like even if we go 1-3, I would pick that game Monday because I don't want to lose for the Dwight Hall of Fame ceremony. I hate that they picked for the Lakers game. I hate it with a passion. We've already talked about that. I think it is the dumbest thing ever, and I'm not afraid to say it, that they picked the Lakers game for that ceremony. I think it's terrible. It's a slap in the face to fans. Plus, it's LeBron, it's Luka, it's Austin Reeves, it's the whole Lakers thing. I want to beat them so bad, almost to the point where I'm tempted to just pick it and hope for the best.
It's such a bad decision that I want to give them the benefit of the doubt to where like it might have been the only time that he was available, or I don't know, but like it is a terrible idea, and I'm just trying to think of what the logic could be.
Right. Or Dwight insisted that it be the Lakers because that's his other team. I don't know. But
which I would just be like, you know what, at that point, hey, forget the Hall of Fame, bro.
Honestly,
forget the Hall of Fame.
I know. So I still haven't given my prediction. Man, my heart really wants to go 3-1. So I'm gonna say 3-1. I'm gonna say you go 3-1. I'm gonna say you beat the Hornets, you beat the Mavericks, and you beat the Kings. I can't pick the Lakers game. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, but you end the week on a 3-game win streak, so we'll take it.
Yeah. And I will say at this point, I know I talked about like the optimistic part of me, being my my severed innie or whatever right now. I'm trying to tie that back to severance, but I will feel pretty good if this team can just find a way to be the 7 seed in the playoffs. Like be the 7 seed, win the 7-8 game, go into the playoffs. Sure, you'll have Boston as your reward at that point.
It looks like it. Although Cleveland, I think we broke them. You see, they lost 4 in a row.
I did see that.
That's wild. So now the Celtics are only 5 games back. Obviously, it's a long shot, but yes, it will more than likely be the Celtics as the 2 seed.
Trying to think of teams that we've broken in the past. It seems like Knicks. We temporarily. I was going to say I know the Knicks, and they made the OG trade after the last time. Couple was that last season or a couple seasons ago at this point? I can't even remember, but yeah, it was like a January game, and they made the trade for OG Anunoby, and they looked like world beaters. Now we've broken the Cavs. I feel like there was one other team.
We had a part to play in Miami's Jimmy Butler implosion too. Like early in the season when we beat them, it wasn't like they traded him. But it wasn't like they traded him the next day. But it was. Was it? I feel like it was a Western Conference team that you're thinking of.
Yeah,
like we beat them. I don't remember, but then they like made a trade the next day or something. Yeah, I remember that too. But
anyways, if we end this week a game back of Atlanta, I'll be really happy with that. If we are the 7th seed by the end of this week, and we go 2-2 and they go 0-3. What happens then?
I think that puts us a game and a half back. I think we only gain a half game because we have 1 extra game this week.
Okay,
but
I see.
Anyway, math is going to math. It's all going to even out eventually at 82 games. Here's the thing I know. If the Magic are within 2 games of the Hawks by the time we play the Hawks, we control our own destiny. So
right.
Let's just get, and obviously you got to sweep the Hawks at that point. But
sure,
if you just stay within striking distance of the Hawks, and then you take care of business against the Hawks, the Magic still control their own destiny for 7th is what I'm getting at.
Which they're like 7-2 in their last 9.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Great.
This season sucks, man. Good grief. Okay. All right. I think that's really all that I've got at this point, Kev. Just to give you all a reminder one more time about our Court of Dreams night. If you're interested in that, you can get your tickets at gofevo.com/event/6man2. Again, that'll be in the podcast and the YouTube descriptions. Kev, I think that's going to do it for this one. What do we say?
Yeah. Congrats to Dwight. Let's beat the Lakers and beat everybody else, maybe. We'll see.
BLA. BLA. All right, that's going to do it for this one. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!